Okay. Hello again. Hello. I thought that I would wear something appropriate for this video. If you read the title, then you can see why it is appropriate. So, wearing red. Let's get into it. Colours. Colours. I love colours. More so, I love it when cinema uses colours as an important aspect of cinematic language. Wes Anderson's use of block and pastel colours and his cohesive colour schemes to produce a certain feeling of intentional storytelling, where his films advocate against the illusion of realism for style and ironically depict honestly cinema as planned fiction. I also love Denis Villeneuve's distinct palette to comment on the emotional narrative of his work. And who can forget this very commercial blockbuster hit, The Colour of Pomegranates, made in 1969, directed by Sergei Parajanov. Okay, this poetic exploration of the 18th century Armenian poet Sayanova is not the most well-known film outside of art film aficionados, but the bold and painterly use of colour, adding to Parajanov's symbolic use of the tableau image, succeeds to narrate with masterly strokes the film almost in its entirety. There's another film that uses colour, particularly this colour, to tell the narrative and the emotional expression of the characters. And we'll get into that, but first. Well, hello there. This is Zurich, and right now we're up in the air, where we free fall into books, poetry, and anything else we decide to get into. This week, it's films. It's all about films. So that kind of falls under the category of anything else that we decide to get into. Now that we're all acquainted, let's make our descent. Geronimo. You already know by the thumbnail, we're talking about Rebel Without a Cause. Released in 1955, it is a coming-of-age film about rebellious teenagers in 1950s suburban America, trying to make sense of family and society and questioning what their role is within both. The main characters, Jim Stark, Plato Crawford, and Judy, bond over their troubled home life and their feeling of being misunderstood. Oh, by the way, there's mild spoilers ahead, just in case you didn't know. Yeah. So a little bit about the film first. Jim is frustrated by how his father does not live up to his ideals of masculinity, being in control of his home, and is constantly distressed by his father being browbeaten by his wife.
She eats him alive and he takes it.
Judy is emotionally confused by her father's withdrawing of his affection and acts out in hope to gain his affection.
This isn't my home.
And Plato is completely without his parents' influence. His parents are divorced, his mother travels a lot, and the only contact he has with his father is through the monthly paychecks he sends. Plato's maid is a substitute mother, but it doesn't fill the whole of his parents' neglect. The reason why we're here, the deliberate application of colour is used throughout the film to accentuate the storytelling. For example, the film uses the contrast between drab, dulled out colours of the clothes that the characters wear to show, 1, the boring, lifeless world of both adults and authority, and 2, the emotional distance between the main characters Jim, Plato, and later in the film Judy, with the rest of colourful suburban youth, including the popular kids. But it's truly the colour red, the colour of blood, anger, angst, passion, life and rebellion that takes centre stage in the film's visual narrative progression. It's the main protagonist's connection to red that shows their bond as central characters and their connection in feeling like an outcast. But most importantly, the colour red symbolises the characters at the height of their emotional turmoil and their rebellion. Judy is the first to turn up in red, in a red overcoat and lipstick, as she weeps when being talked to the police. She is in the police station because she ran away from home and violated curfew after her father disapproved of the way she dressed going out. She tells the policeman that he calls her...
He called me a dirty tramp.
For Judy, the colour red symbolises anger, but also is a rebellion with seductive connotations. Her father disapproves of her explorations towards adult femininity through her clothes and her makeup, and Judy rebels in hopes that her father shows her the affection that he gave her when she was a child. Jim, played by the legendary James Dean, is most recognisable in red, donning his jacket in the middle of the film. Red for Jim symbolises defiance, courage, recklessness, and bravery. In other words, both the good things and the bad things about manhood, being a man. There are so many instances of this being shown, the idea of red being a connotation of manhood and the questions of manhood throughout the film. For example, when Jim arrives to confront Buzz in a dangerous chickie race where the two drive towards the end of a cliff and the first one to bail out of the car before driving off the edge is the chicken. I suppose if they were having a face-off today, they would just play a game of Smash Bros, but that's... That's a lot less dangerous, but anyway. The example that I want to showcase is red being the symbol of Jim's frustration and rebellion against his family's dynamic. This is helped significantly by the stage blocking of this particular scene. So in this scene, as she argues, Jim's mother is standing on the highest tread of the stairs and is looking down at Jim and his father. Jim's father, on the other hand, is standing on the lowest tread and is looking not only up at his wife, but also his son. This helps visualize his failure as the ideal man in Jim's eyes. And Jim is right in the middle, pleading for his father to essentially be a man.
Dad, stand up for me.
When Jim's father fails to take a stand for his son and for masculinity itself, Jim finally lashes out at his father and by doing so fights for the masculine ideal that his father lacks. This is my favourite part of the movie, this dramatic explosion of like anguish, Jim towards his father, and the colour red of his jacket really adds to the understanding of the film's emotional depth. Finally, Plato is the last to show up in red. Seen for most of the movie in blacks and drab colours like browns, greys, Plato is the most isolated and troubled out of the protagonists, supported by Plato having the worst home life out of the three. Near the end of the film, Jim gives Plato his iconic jacket. This could be interpreted in different ways. It could symbolise a true kindred bond between Jim, Judy and Plato, which was not there at the start of the film. But for Plato, the combination of the colours black and red is significant, seen in his clothes and Jim's jacket, and in his single red sock and his single dark sock. Where Jim is seen with red and white, a combination which creates the symbol of heroism and peace and a good sort of action, even if there is violence. It has a good connotation and a heroic connotation. The colour red seems to symbolise for Plato the height of his emotional and mental instability in the wake of his violent actions, with the red of rebellion and anguish combined with the black of depression and emotional despair and mental disorder. The result symbolises ultimate destruction.
You talk nice to the man now, here. He's going to help you.
Nobody can help me.
Without a doubt, red is a vital colour in understanding the film's emotional depth. And I hope it becomes normalised for directors to use colour intentionally to tell their story. Woo! If you got to the end of this video, thank you very much for watching. I hope it was interesting. I hope you enjoyed it. I really like films. I like talking about films in depth and film like reviews and breakdowns, so I want to add more of that to my channel. I mean, let me know if you enjoyed it. If you want any other films that are kind of in this sort of art house, old films kind of bent, because I really like talking about like artistic films. I'm happy to have, I'm looking for suggestions. If you're interested in more media that talks about isolation, I'm currently doing a series on my channel about Osamu Dazai's No Longer Human, which is a book all about isolation. So that is being built. So you can have, I think you can watch the first 3 episodes at the moment. So there's that. Follow me on Instagram. If you enjoy breakdowns, discussions, talks about anything in art and media, both old and new, told in both a serious way and a not so serious way, then subscribe, because it would really help out the channel for it to grow. That would be really nice. But most of all, thank you very much for listening, and until next time, happy landing.